Have an amazing person on the show today. Rocio, you want to tell us who it is?
Yes, we have an amazing woman, just powerful lady. You guys might know her by Yolanda, if you guys follow her on LinkedIn.
Lila, do you know who that is?
Oh, of course I know who Yolanda Maria Baber is. She is going to blow our minds today. She is going to get us straight as far as the definition between business development and sales, which I needed some clarity on, and so much more.
I'm excited.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Triangle Hustle podcast, where life, hustle, and construction collide in the heart of California. I'm Lila, your PPE and safety expert.
I'm Rocio, saving you money with insurance and workers' comp.
And I'm Frank, for all your trash and disposal needs. Whether you're swinging hammers or closing deals, this show is built for those who want to level up in business and in life.
From the job side to the boardroom, we're bringing you real talk, real challenges, and our favorite real wins.
Thanks for joining us. Good morning, Yolanda.
Good morning.
We are so excited to have you with us today.
Thank you.
You look fabulous.
Yeah.
¿Pa dónde vas?
So I'm heading to the Hats Off celebration today. We're honoring a couple of legacy women that are in the aviation sector. So that's where I'm headed to today.
Aviation sector.
Yes. And our association is called COMPTO. And so basically it's a conglomerate of different minority, I'm going to say aviation experts, owners, directors, executive folks that are, doing big things in aviation. So that's where I'm headed to today.
Nice. Very
You
good. Well,
are
look
everywhere.
lovely.
Like everywhere. I haven't been going to a lot of events, but like last year when we went to all the events, like I'd show up and then Yolanda just boom, out of nowhere. Man.
But before we start, asking Miss Yolanda about questions, we actually introduce who this beautiful woman over here is. It is Miss Yolanda Maria Baber. Mm-hmm. And for those that are watching, more than likely, if you're watching, you are following her LinkedIn and you're more than likely connected to her on LinkedIn. But if you're not, I would like her to introduce herself and tell for the folks who may not know Miss Yolanda, who you are, what you do.
So my name is Yolanda Maria Baber. I work in the construction industry. Those of you who are following me, I'm a charge you to make sure that you like this video and share the video today. I get an opportunity to work in an industry with a lot of powerful people like yourselves that are doing mega things in the construction industry. So I just feel fortunate to be able to serve at this capacity and to be around all the people that he's placed me in the last couple of decades. So I'm really blessed.
Yeah, I feel like you're leaving yourself a little short behind. Can you tell the audience, like, what is it that you do and how long you've been involved in construction? Because it's been a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm working on an autobiography right now, and I had to go back and do a journal process to figure out when I actually got started in construction. But I actually started construction way before it was legal to be in construction, right? But it's been 33 years. I cannot believe it. And I was doing the timelines.
You started when you were 10?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yes.
That's insane. That's why you said it was illegal.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even have a work permit.
Right.
I didn't have a work permit, and I was out in these streets.
Legal before it was legal.
Yeah. So I'm Latina, so they put us to work as soon as you can be able to pick up something, and they put us to work, right? And so it's been a while that I've been in the industry, but I think one of the the thing that has been consistent in my life has been people, right? Mm. The people that you start the business with are still my friends today. And I think I think that's the one thing that I'm really blessed with, is that this business has given me some powerful relationships. Mm-hmm. And so I feel I'm blessed just to be here.
That is a big flex when you have people in your circle now that started with you 33 years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right now, when you just said that, it reminds me of, because I've been in the safety industry for over 35 years now, since I was 8. And I remember customers, that knew me pregnant for my first baby, my second baby, my third baby. And, you know, again, being Latina and being put to work very young, you know, at 14 when we were able to get, you know, work permits, we do it out of necessity, right, to help with the bills at home. And I think people really learn to respect that, and they admire and stick around because iron sharpens iron. People really want to support people that are out there working hard, and then again, really have a genuine love and care for people. So I think that's why they stick around, and it's a big part of our success.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that I learned early on, and this is not something I've learned it from a book or anything, was my mother modeled this. And that is that how you do one thing is how you do everything. So you never have to worry if you're on or off because you do everything the same way, no matter who you're with. Right. So you always be authentic and be who you are. And sometimes that's pretty and sometimes it's ugly. It depends on where you're at and what's going on at the moment. But the more authentic you are, people connect to authenticity.
They do.
And so and they remember that. And they know that if they come to you and ask you a question, that you're going to be honest and forthright with what is what's taking place. And if you make a mistake, you take ownership of it and you fix it. Yeah. And so that consistency, I think, is what builds real relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Builds
we were just talking about that yesterday, you and I on the phone, about how, you know, approaching people with authenticity just really sets the tone, and people read you. They know if you're faking the funk or if you're being real.
Yes.
You know, they see right through it. And you're right. You know, that just sets the foundation for a long-term relationship. Yeah, I mean, some of my best friends came from this industry. So yeah.
Yeah. You know, being a younger woman in the construction industry and sitting with two amazing women who have built their business relationship in the construction industry, it just inspires me because you guys have so much wisdom, so much experience. And to go off on that, like, what advice would you give, Yolanda, for younger girls who may be looking like, hey, you know what, I'm curious to follow the construction industry, especially nowadays. You know, NAWIC has done a really good job, and other women associations, in spreading the word that there's more than just the field job, right? There's the office job, there's BD, there's sales, there's so much. So what advice would you give to the younger generation, female generation, who might be curious into going into the construction industry?
So I think everybody needs to know that I didn't start in the construction industry. Okay, the construction industry brought me in. I did not start there. By trade, I'm a makeup artist. So I got into the construction industry because I was a top salesperson in cosmetics, and Sears decided, we're going to recruit you and we're going to have you build cosmetic stores. So that's how I got into the construction industry, was not in lieu of me going to engineering school. I have a master's degree in biblical studies. I don't have
what? That's cool.
So I have no engineering background. I was not a math. For one, I did not enjoy math. I enjoy math today because I like dollars and cents, right? But when I was
like more dollars,
yes,
that's right.
And then more common sense,
yes. And so I didn't get into the industry because of that. But I had a passion for skincare, and I had loved makeup artistry, and I loved everything about it, right? And so, in lieu of that, I went to school, became an esthetician. You know, and was doing sales, and I worked for some of the largest cosmetic companies. Revlon was one of them, and they recruited me to install cosmetic stores. So I learned how to read spec books and plans.
And then, how old? If you don't mind me asking you, how old were you when they asked you that question? And were you scared? Because
no, I wasn't scared. And this is a thing. I was never scared of something you don't know.
Okay.
Because I didn't know what I was walking into. Honestly, it was there's no when you walk into,
quite the opposite with people, especially females. You know, because if I look at myself when I was 18 years old, or even that, like, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. You kind of freak out. So
no, I figured the reason they asked me was because I was supposed to be there. I've always had that confidence. I'm like, somebody asks you to do something, I'm like, sure, I could do it. And if I didn't know, I would always ask other people who were already doing it. So I never felt like I had to be a master of anything. I just felt that if I had gotten the opportunity, then I need to do my very best to learn it, to master what it is that I was supposed to be doing, and then get it done, right? And so I got hired on cosmetics, right? They were like, hey, we want you to build these cosmetic stores across the country. I was always the first person at any assignment, and I'm always been the last person to leave the office. I'm a student of whatever it is, craft that I'm doing. And so I didn't understand construction and development, but I learned it. And I asked a lot of questions. And I think through the process of doing that, I recognized that the more I asked, and the more honest I was about what I didn't know, people will be willing to share. So I think my biggest takeaway, though, is that if you get asked to do something, know that you're being asked because somebody sees potential in you. Mm-hmm. So don't worry about what you don't know. Focus on what you do know, which is that they asked you because they have the confidence that you can get it done. Figure it out. Give yourself the grace and the time that you need to learn it and master it. And then when you don't know, be honest and say, you know what, I don't have an answer for that right now, but I'll get back to you within 24 hours. And that has been my number one winning formula. So no, I think women who are seeking or they're trying to figure out what they want to do next, understand that you don't have to know the ins and outs of everything. Just give yourself the grace to know that, hey, I was asked to do this assignment. There's an opportunity for me to do the work. I always look at it this way. There's never an assignment that you had not already been prepared for. Mm-hmm. So don't worry about what you don't know, is that you've already been asked because people already see what it is that you need or the skill set to get the work done. So my advice is just be yourself. Yeah. If you are a nerd, be a nerd. If you love math, do math. If you love moving dirt and soil. By the way, I love construction because I actually get excited about seeing a bulldozer. I love demolition. I love anything that is you talk about people, and I say this all the time. I get excited when I see raw land. And there's nothing there because I know what that land can look like once we get somebody out there doing the grading and pouring concrete and installing rebar. I love everything about it. But I didn't know that I knew that I was going to love it until I actually started getting into it. Mm-hmm. And then as I started doing it, I was like, okay, this is awesome. And so, I think the intention for me from the very beginning was I've always loved sales because guess what? Sales got me to be around people. Mm-hmm. So that was just a natural thing for me. Okay. So if you know me, I love a good party. So I love doing guests. So to me, being part of NAWIC is a natural thing. We get a bunch of girls together. We have wine. We had margaritas, and then we talk business in between all of that. Right. Mm-hmm. So to me, this has always been my natural vein and how I flow. So I think that no matter where you're at, no matter at what age, and I think that this is really important. If you're in an assignment right now that you do not like, get out of it. Stop wasting time. You don't have tomorrow is not promised to no man. So listen, if you're not happy in your current assignment, do something about it. Do something different. And sometimes saying yes to yourself and saying no to others is the magic of everything that you do.
That's right. That's power.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Well, you're a natural. And like you said, since you were very, very young, for sales, you have to love people, right? And I love when you say, if somebody invites you to be on a board or try this next job, within the organization, it is because they see the potential. Mm-hmm. And then I love that you said, how we do the small things is how we're going to do the big things, right? Mm-hmm. And I, like you, my mother was a perfectionist, down to making my bed. If it wasn't perfect, she would rip it off and said, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all. And then I would have to do it again. Mm-hmm. So it's just the way she trained me since I was very young. And my standards are very high as well to this day. As I get older, I get a little bit more flexible, but I have to repeat what you say. If somebody sees something in you, it's because they see the potential, as you say, and all you have to do is bring your best. Mm-hmm. And if you're not bringing your best, then it's something right that, because we all have room for improvement. Let's get ourselves to a place where whatever we're doing, whether somebody's watching or not, we're going to make sure that it's the best that we bring. I love that.
I remember a couple of years ago, we were trying to get this heavy civil project over at the port, and you guys know my number one sales rep is a woman, and she's been with me for about 4 years. Year 2, we go to the site together, and at this point we're still visiting a lot of sites together, and we're because she, like you, didn't have any experience in construction. So I remember we make the introduction, she gets the lead, and then I leave her alone. And then I'm asking, did you follow up? Yeah. Where are we at? Well, I'm having a hard time, and I don't want to hear it. You've been preparing for this. I want the job by the end of the week. But you got it. Figure it out. 2 days later, we get the job. It was a Wednesday, so she was 2 days ahead of schedule. But yeah, there's a lot of potential, and I knew it, and I knew she could get it. And just her face after that, and now we created a monster. She hardly asked for help, but it's a great thing to watch somebody grow, to watch somebody develop, and to be able to hold their own in a room full of men.
Well, let me ask you, Frank, because you are a big supporter for females and females in the construction industry. You've been a big support to us, to our friends, and you're always out there rooting for all of us. How do you, from a male's perspective, see that potential in a female? Because you've trained both males and females, but how is it, especially for someone that doesn't come from that industry with that experience?
You have to have thick skin. I've trained a lot of women, and a lot of them are still in this industry. Some of them still write me emails and say, hey, and I've seen a lot of crazy stuff that you as females put up with, right? Just trying to get into a lead, and a lot of these construction guys, I'm not going to say any names, but maybe I will later. But they make it a little more difficult because they do things outside of the norm. And they confuse kindness with, some sort of an advancement, or just because you give someone a rope, they think they're a cowboy. And a lot of times a smile does not equal, I like you and I want to go out to dinner in a romantic way. That's one of the hurdles. But I think when you have thick skin, and when you're able to see beyond that and not take that personal and continue to push to ultimately get to that finish line, that's when you know. This guy sent me a picture in chaps and no shirt, but he gave us an account. So I'm not going to worry about that. But also, we have to protect you guys. And when it does get a little weird, it's like, can you come with me to this meeting? That's why we spend a lot of time together.
Yeah.
It's not because I love being around Marisol, because she gets on my nerves. But a lot of times it's to keep her safe, because a lot of times you as women, you get a weird vibe where it's not what it's supposed to be. So at that point, it's like, can you come with me? But now, I think, but
calm
I think
that vibe down.
The ones that I've seen do really, really well have that thick skin. They don't know how to give up. They're the first ones in and the last ones out. I could set my clock to Marisol. She outperforms a lot of the men that I've trained, a lot of the men that I've guided, because for whatever reason, women don't seem to complain as much as the men.
We don't.
And it's astonishing to me, because sometimes I'm sitting there and I listen. I had this one guy, and he was just like, I need one of your motivational speeches this morning. And I was having a day that day, and I was like, bro, like not even the women call to tell me this. And I can't seem to get through my clients. And all right, I'll give you a motivational speech, bro. You just left your wife, you got 2 kids, and you got a child support note. How's that for motivation?
There you go.
How about what I really wanted to say is quit being a little bitch and come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the difference. And the women that make it, they have that thick skin, thug life. And they're willing to go, and I'm talking about women that I would go into battle with versus some of the men that I've trained.
I think a common denominator for strong women is that we have very humble beginnings. We don't come from money. We don't come from, some of us don't have college degrees. We don't have a plan B. We got to do what we got to do. We got to make that money or make that sale. And we don't give up, because we don't have somebody to say, oh, can you, help me with my rent? It's like, no, we're the ones helping mom with the rent. So I think when that happens very young, you talk about that thick skin. I think that's how we get it. I think that's how we develop it. Because we come from a hard start.
Yeah.
People that have a soft start, I don't think they are as strong.
Well, I mean, growing up, the hardest working person in my life has always been my father. But see, he was one of those strong-willed Mexican men. He didn't say a whole lot, but just by action. 18-hour days, 20-hour days, and I used to wait at night for him to get home because I love to smell the smell of engine grease, and he was a man's man. But on the flip side, my mom would always be the one gotta get up early. A day doesn't finish in 8 hours. People always say that 8-hour days. Un día nunca se acaba en 8 horas. Échale ganas.
Yeah. But your mom was just as strong there supporting your dad because she was the one taking care of you guys.
Oh, yeah. She taught me how to cook,
big job,
clean.
like
To this day, people come over, your house is so clean. You cook, you do this, you do that. That's all mama, and the combination of the two.
And you're also a mom and a wife. How do you balance everything? Like, what advice? Because...
So I have to read this because it was, as you guys were talking, I looked down at my notepad. It says in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future."
That's right. We're going to plaster that one. You know how we were talking about our background?
So I think about that. So he knew us. He created us for such a time as this. So a lot of times your assignment has already been given. The thing is, are you willing to follow the assignment that God has already placed before you? It's not always going to be, I think that there's a conscience. There is disciplines. I do have to say that every single one of us, and I can speak for my mom. My mom, her name was Shirley Mason Roman, but we call her Chole. But her name is Soledad, right? And so we called her Shirley, and all our family knows her as Chole. Anyways, but the one thing that she would always remind me, my brother, and my sister was that you not only do you not have an 8-hour day, but your job is to serve. And so you are, everything that she did, she modeled it. She didn't speak a lot. She said words when she needed to, but she was very funny. My mother was hilarious, okay? But I think the one thing that she would always encourage us was always to serve. So no matter where you're at, your job is to serve. Nobody is ever, you never focus on being served. You always have a servant heart. So it doesn't matter if I'm at church or if I'm at a friend's house. I never go and sit down at an event. I always go and see, what do you need help with? Do you need me to help you pass out papers? What are we doing? What are we doing? To me, that's where the gift of serving, to me, is a privilege. Being here talking to you guys, this is a privilege. Like, I never think to myself that, I'm worthy of that or I'm entitled to that, because no, honey, look, the fact that I got up this morning is a gift from God. The fact that I can get in a car and drive here, and I never worry about how much gas I have because my husband makes sure I have gas in that car. Okay. I never work. There's just things I'm not even, I just feel like it's a gift. And so, anyway, so I'm sure I probably didn't answer your question, but,
you touched a good point, your husband.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I am blessed. I have one son, I call him my one-hit wonder. His name is Seth Jedediah Mason Roseberry. He's going to be like, wow, Mom, did you have to give my government name? Yes, honey. Yes.
Roseberry, where'd that come from?
Yes, honey. So
I'll put a little picture in the video. Insert his picture.
Yeah. He just turned 32. Okay. And we were having a conversation over the phone, and to this day, the things that my son talks about to me, you guys, is not when we made it, when we lived in San Antonio Hills and we had, oodles and boodles of stuff. It's the stuff that when we didn't have, that's when he remembers the most, is when we struggled, you know. And the one thing that he'll always talk about this, we would, after church on Sundays, we had a ritual. Okay, Sundays was like we didn't do much on Sundays. We went to church, we did church, and then we would always go to our favorite restaurant, right? And whatever favorite restaurant I liked at the moment is where we went, right? And we would bring food back to the house, and we would watch funny movies together. Okay.
Nice.
And it didn't matter. And most of the time the TV was watching us, you guys, because we both would fall asleep. But we made it a point to always have time to fellowship and to talk. And we did it through comedy. We did it through movies. But we did that if we were sad or happy. So there was just a consistent thing that we did. That was kind of the rhythm. So he would. So that's what he talked about is our movies. And he was like, "Yeah, Mom, I remember going to that. After we church, we'd go to that one restaurant and we'd get this." And so I think the moments of being a parent are such a gift. And I feel like me and my son grew up together because I had him at 21, right? And so I feel like he knows me better than my own husband. That's the thing, you guys, because he was with me all that time, right? And we spent so much time together. So it's really interesting, you guys. I'm in the car, Thanksgiving. We're driving to Lodi to visit with family. They're having a conversation about me in the car. They're talking about me in the car, right? And I'm like, hello, I'm sitting right here. He's like, yeah, don't you think it's funny when she does that? And I'm like, I'm sitting in the car. Why are you not talking at me? I'm in the car. He's like, and then I finally realized, and this is, you know, how you have your God moments. And I said, you know, I'm really blessed. I get to sit in the car with my two favorite men. You know, like these are my guys, you know. This is like, these are my two favorite people. I get to sit in the car. So yeah, if you want to talk about me, then
have at it.
Move at it. You know, like dale gas. And I go, you guys can talk about me all you want, but y'all both love me, so I'm good. You know, so that was that was my comment about that. But I think parenthood, creating balance is rough. My husband has made a conscious decision to know that I'm going to be a servant at heart. And being available to people means that sometimes I'm not there for him. And he knows that. And he's okay with that. And that was not easy for him to get to that point. But he's like, no, get me wrong. Now, there's things I don't do because I want to be with my husband, right? And there's times that I don't take phone calls because I'm with him, right? And that's okay. And I've made that resolution, and that's what we're going to do. And he is my priority. You know, besides Jesus Christ, it's my husband, and it's my husband before my son. Let's be clear.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, let's be real clear.
And that's a good advice, especially for some. I don't have any kids, but you know, I'm right here for this is like a lesson. It's like a little psychology over here for myself. But that's a great point that you make, because I've gotten advice from my female friends who are in business and they have kids saying, hey, don't make the same mistake that I did, which is I made my whole life about my kid. And then, you know, 5-7 years later, me and my husband don't really have a connection because our whole life has always been revolved around my kid. And, you know, like I just let momhood get to me, and then it kind of just started not making them a priority. I didn't want to hang out with him. I didn't want to do anything because I'm tired of being the mom. But yeah, I'll let you talk. But yeah, on that point.
Yeah, tell us
That's
why it's so important for the husband to be the priority.
yeah.
Well, I think the reality is, obviously, now let's keep this in order. Jesus Christ is my number one priority. Okay, that's before I get up in the morning. Okay, that I don't even get out the bed without thanking him for waking me up. But as far as my physical person who's here, is my husband. And he made it very clear from the very beginning that he needed to be the priority. So it was never like, oh, you know. And he always says he calls my NAWIC family, he calls those my sisters, right? He goes, oh, you're gonna go hang out with your sisters today? And I was like, yeah, my sisters and my brothers, because it's a combination of all that. But I think the reality of creating balance is in the moments. I think there's an ebb and flow of balance. My balance is whoever is in front of me at the moment.
I love that.
Whoever's
be
be present.
Yes.
So really, I mean, yeah, my husband is at home right now, but in reality, who's the most important person is the people that are in this room right now for me. Is who I'm talking to. And so I think understanding that, and then you can't be everything to everyone.
Right.
You cannot. there's no such thing, right? It's like you can be an amazing mother and still miss the mark. You could be an amazing wife and still miss the mark. And I think that you have to give yourself enough grace to know that you're not always going to be 100%. And when you're not, you need to also be able to say, I'm not functioning in my best right now. And I take my own timeouts. I do take writing days where I don't talk to nobody and I'm by myself with the Lord. There's days so that's why you say I'm everywhere. I promise you I'm not. It may give the appearance that I am, but I have spa days where I don't talk to nobody but the lady who's giving me a massage. And I don't want to talk to nobody. Like, I go in that spa place and people be trying to chit chat. I'm like,
I am off today. This is off.
I'm not talking to nobody. And I can count how many words I say that day. And my husband is okay with that. And he knows I'm going to be at the spa in Pasadena hanging out. And
invite me next time.
And of course. And so I think
don't have to
there
talk.
has to be a balance.
No, they're definitely, especially with people in service and, who do not just the, 8 to 10 to 12 hour workday, but outside of that, serving people, being of service, being a servant leader and doing these things. This is my first year doing the work that I've been doing and helping other men. And like you, I had to learn that I need that one day where I'm not.
Even the Lord needs one day.
There's nothing happening. It's my couch and my book, and I'm trying. Unless it's an emergency, I need to recharge because I get super drained. Like, spiritually, physically. And it's like
mentally.
Yeah.
It is. And same here, I'm at my first year to serving, and that's also something I'm learning right now. It's like, dude, I need to take a break because it is an emotion. It's a lot of responsibility because you're looking after people's lives, making sure guiding them. And also making sure that you are taking your time to serve the Lord and be thankful. It's like, hold on. I'm getting, caught up in my head. But yeah, it's,
we can't be good at what we do if we're not at the best, the best we could possibly be. But
well, like they say with a cup, in order to overflow, you got to fill it. And you figure every week, to me, when I go to church, it's like, oh Lord, my cup I'm almost at the last quarter. I need to go to church and be filled. When I say filled, into our spirit, and get, sitting there with other people just praising and the music, and you can feel, you know how some people drain you and some people fill you. The Holy Spirit will always fill you and get you ready for the next week. And that's why I understand now some people say, oh, I don't go to church. I don't need to go to church. I can pray from home. You can, alone. And yes, you have a personal relationship with God, but you can't compare it when you go to church because there's a spirit there. And when they say, when two or more are gathered, you're going to feel it. And now I'm just so grateful that now I crave it. Like, I'm like, oh, it's going to be Sunday, because I'm feeling drained and I want to be filled. Because like you say, when we're servants, we can't serve if we're on empty.
It's like going to the gas station, although it's not $8 a gallon right now. It's free. But when Yolanda said that earlier about I don't even worry about gas, I could just see
even now
I
you
can
don't
see
worry
her
about
husband
gas?
shout out, it's $8 a gallon, and Yolanda's right there. I don't give up. God's got me. God's got me. Let them fight.
I promise you, I never pay attention. I promise you, I don't ever pay attention to this. But I think there's something you just said that kind of sparked me because in serving and doing God's work, right? Because this is God's work, right? No matter, and I think people think that sometimes ministry, your career, if you're an author, you're a speaker, the reality is you're one person. Okay, so everything that you and I are doing, it's all interconnected, no matter how, because it's connected to people, right? But I think one thing that I learned early on, and I can't say that I've mastered this, and by no means, but people should be living off your overflow, not your cup.
Yeah.
Because here's the reality. Wow. You can't really be at your full capacity unless your cup is full. And now full can look differently to every single one of us here in this room right now. And anybody who's watching the podcast right now. Filling your cup can look differently, right? But I think it's really, really important that you're not getting my cup. Okay, you're not getting my cup. You're gonna get the overflow of the cup.
That's right.
Now, if you even tap into my cup, listen, something is not right because you have to protect yourself.
That's very true, man.
Yes.
You have to protect yourself, your time and your energy, because you can't serve your spouse, you can't serve your children, you can't be of service to anybody if your cup is not full. And so you have to recognize that, and everybody should be flowing off your overflow. And if your cup is starting to get empty, you need to go back and get recharged. And for me, it's not always at church, because can you tell me what I'm doing at church? I'm serving. So I don't always get my cup filled at church. I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you that right now. It doesn't always come from me being in the presence of other people. Your cup can be full as simply as you being in worship by yourself with God. And I have to say this because church to me, because I serve, I don't get my cup full there because I'm pouring.
Yeah.
It's when I'm there, I'm
not
pouring.
pouring yet.
I'm pouring. I'm giving. I'm you know what I'm saying?
Drinking.
So I'm like, when I'm there, and I'm there and I'm being his hands and feet. Hands and feet. So no different than when I'm at NAWIC, no different than when I'm going to be at Compto today. If I'm at AMAC, if I'm at SMPS, wherever I'm at, that's my role, is to pour. And so I think it's really, really important that you protect your own individual cup and that you stay full at all times. And whenever you feel like you're getting depleted, understand that you need to step away. And it's okay for you to take a time out. And believe it, I work more than 8 hours a day.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. As soon as sun comes up, I'm up before sunlight.
Oh, yeah. I've seen your early emails.
Yeah, I'm up before sunlight, and I go to bed late at night, and I do start in bed with my husband. Okay, don't get me wrong. Me and him are in the bed together. As soon as he starts getting into his deep sleep, a lot of times I get out the bed and I go to work. Okay, so it's not always.
How do you do it? Because I know you don't sleep 8 hours.
I don't sleep much, but I do sleep. When I do sleep, I sleep well.
Yeah.
I
be snoring.
Yeah, I sleep well.
What do
My
they call that?
husband
REM
says-
sleep? Or,
Yeah, REM sleep.
Yeah.
When I sleep, because I pray when I go to sleep, and I ask God to renew my mind, right, and to be so that I can be intentional and that I can be in full availability, so that I'm listening. See, sometimes, and I say this all the time, no matter where you're at, if you're negotiating a contract, if you're engaging with people, if you're going to different places, always be alert. Pay attention. God is telling you, don't go right, go left. But if you're so busy listening to stuff and you're worried about what people think about you, girl, listen, I have gotten to, and I don't know if it's my age or what has happened, but I do not care. And I'm really being serious about this, you guys. I don't care about the opinions of others. I care more about am I pleasing to the Father?
That's right.
Am I pleasing? Would my testimony, if I were to go away today, what would be my legacy? What would people say about me? Am I really living the best life that he's asked me to live? And sometimes that means that I'm going to have very uncomfortable conversations with people, because I have to tell people sometimes things that they don't want to hear. Okay. And that is okay. And I'm giving myself the permission to be able to say, and does that mean that I don't get that contract? It doesn't matter anyways, because I wasn't supposed to get that contract. I wasn't there to get that contract. I was just there to help that person grow. And in lieu of that, it may not be that moment, but 5 years, 6 years later, I run into that person, and the testimony is, if you had not said what you said at that moment, I wouldn't have accomplished the things that I needed to do. So thank you. Yes. Now, we don't do it for the thank yous, but I think that God gives us the God moments to know that when those things were happening, that it was his time. And even though it was wildly uncomfortable for me to say what I needed to say, it was necessary at that moment.
Yeah.
So you just said something about whether I got that contract or not, because both Frank and I, he's in a sales capacity, and I'm the head of growth for my company. We're looking for salespeople, right? And we want some good salespeople. And Frank said earlier that he's had a couple of interviews, but that those people are looking for business development jobs. So we were having a conversation. It's like, well, what's the difference between business development and sales? Isn't it the same?
We've been having that conversation for days now, because we're trying to figure it out.
I even chat GPT'd it. And so this is what I learned. So business development, right? You network and you meet people and you bring opportunities, right, to your company, whether you want to get into new markets or get into a certain company. So you bring the opportunity. And it's like, okay, well, what about the close though? I mean, to me, like the high is in the close. And it's like, well, then you kind of hand it over to the sales and they handle the numbers or the negotiations. For me, I just feel like, but wait, I met them, they trust me. I want to be like part of the close, or I want to be 2-in-1. So can you, because you're in BD, but you were like a top salesperson in cosmetics. So would you leave a BD to come back into sales, or do you think it's very separate?
Well, to give you a little more context, I shared that I interviewed about 4 people. In the last 4 people that I interviewed were interested in a BD role, and when I asked, why not come full circle? Why do you not want to? We could teach you how to close. I could teach you how to come full circle and do. Because our role is, I see it as everything. And the common answer was, I don't want to be responsible for a number. I don't want a quota.
So that's why they didn't get hired. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, because people don't understand this, but I'm selling right now.
Oh, yeah.
What am I selling? You. Right? So everything we do is sales, by the way. I don't think that there's not, and anybody who says they're not in sales is lying to themselves.
That's right.
Everything we do, from the moment I walked in here, I'm selling. Now, you could take that 10,000 different ways, right? But what I'm getting at is that everything is a negotiation. Everything is a conversation. Everything is a contract. To be friends with people, you are agreeing. You even agreeing that you and I are going to hang out because we like to hang out with each other. The fact that I say, let's go have coffee together, is I'm agreeing that I actually like being in your presence. Now, do I know the whole gist of who you are? No. But I at least know that there's enough commonality and trust that I can feel like I can be transparent with you. Guess what? That is all sales, by the way.
It is.
So when somebody says, well, I want to do sales instead of business development, sales is one way. It's very transactional. I give you say you need 10, I'm going to sell you 100 because I want to make sure I get as much sales. That's transactional. I'm not interested in doing sales. That is a poor way of looking at growth and development. Business development is strategic. I don't step into a meeting without have not already researched why I even want to meet with this person. So if you're being strategic and if you're doing business development, you're not looking at this as one transactional process. You're looking at this is going to be your strategic partner for life. This is what you want to do, work with this particular client because you see the potential of you being their only choice in that scope of service for the rest of that person's career. No matter where they go, you follow them. So so I invest with the intention of I'm not just gonna plant a seed and I'm gonna pull the harvest tomorrow and that is it. Honey, I'm looking at all the fields, all the work, all the generational wealth, legacy driven. So I'm very intentional. So I am true. And I don't even consider, even though my title says I'm a business developer, that's not what I am. I'm a harvester. Yeah. I'm a planter. I want to be able to build a harvest that every single person around me can get from that harvest.
Yeah, because like we said that, right? And I painted maybe not the perfect analogy, but I told Chris, I'm like, that's like me going out on a perfect date. And I wined you and I dined you and I made you laugh and you feel all giddy and you're crushing on me, I'm crushing on you. But then I drop her off at Chris's house at the end.
To close the deal.
After I did all the work, that makes no sense. I want to go full circle.
Of course, yeah.
I want to Netflix and chill.
We got to work on your stories, brother.
Frank has a dating story. I feel like in every podcast.
Well, no, that's not me going out on a date. That's just or Lila said too. Like we're in a football game. It's do or die. It's fourth quarter. We need a score, and you're in a perfect position to score that touchdown. And we say, "Can we hand you the ball?" And you're like, "No."
Development, I think, like the large companies who have budgets and they need that person to go and, like you said, create the relationships, not the transaction, just the relationships, and bring the opportunities. So that takes money, and that takes a person. For us, we're a smaller company. We don't have that budget, let's say. So my salespeople are going to have to be the BD and the salesperson,
the closer.
So when I come and I meet you, Yolanda, hi, how are you? You know, this is what we're friends first, because when I go on a sales call, it's never to transact, ever. The first call, it's never to transact. It's, how are you? This is me. You know, can I develop that trust with them in the beginning? And if we feel that with each other, then of course, even the second might just be, how are you? Can I do anything for you? And then it goes into a transaction. So there's a BD part first before we're transacting.
But sometimes
and it's just a hybrid thing,
Well,
because we
have to find
don't
out
have
the
a
problem
budget
first.
maybe for BD.
Right.
Like, is there a problem? Is there a need?
Or something, or how can I help? It's always, how can I help?
But every
You
now
know.
and then, it is merely transactional. There's no room for coffee, no room for lunch, no room to get to know you.
Well, if there's a need
It's
right
just-
now,
yeah.
well, what do you got? Then, of course, at first, then you want to prove you know what you're doing. You can make it happen. You can cut the deal, you know, in the time and the price that they need. But for me, and it's always been that way from the beginning. It's always, we're going to be friends first, or at least like each other and maybe trust each other, and then we're going to do business. Some people go in, like you said, first meeting, they want a transaction. I'm never about the transaction first. So I feel like I'm like a hybrid, and I'm looking for maybe hybrid salespeople that understand that we're building trust first, we're offering value first, and then, you know, hopefully they're going to come to us. We don't have to chase them; they're coming to us because we've established that.
So it's kind of interesting, because I was asking the question from when I was asking the question about where you see the business right now. What I was asking is, what is your belief about your business? That's really what I was asking. But here's what I want to share this. And I think no matter who you're interviewing for a sales position or not, if you're and by the way, it's an exchange, right? Because when you're meeting with the client, you're actually trying to figure out if you actually want to work with that client as well. So believe it or not, you are meeting people. You're not coming in there to sell them. They're actually trying to sell you also on their company. So there is a mutual, I think, agreement that you are deciding, do I actually want to do work with that person? So I think you really should always be in a position where you can also choose not to do work with that person. Right?
Yeah, because some of these people don't pay their bills.
I was going to say, especially the slow payers.
So I think one of the things that I think is really critical, because your belief system has everything to do with how you develop a relationship or not, or if you move forward to the next step. And the belief system doesn't come from what you sell.
No.
It doesn't have to do anything with what company you represent. It doesn't have anything to do with what product you are actually marketing at the moment. It has everything to do with your own belief system about who you are at that moment. So transactional, not transactional, moving forward, not moving forward, has everything to do with you. You shift the environment. The moment that you step into the room, you have the authority to shift the environment in whatever way you want that environment to go, good or bad. I want to make sure you understand that. You have a lot more control than you think. You have the right to say yes. You have a right to say no. You have a right to say, hey, I don't feel comfortable in this space. And you know what? I have actually closed my laptop and left the room without saying a word. You have the right to engage or disengage at any moment in any process, no matter what is taking place. I see the blinking light. We definitely going to be wrapping up.
I want to close with one thing, because I do have Sam. She's the only salesperson I have right now. I actually pulled her out of cosmetics. 30 years, multi-million-dollar cosmetic deals with Ulta and that sort of stuff, and brought her into construction. I said, take off the mall attire or whatever, put on the boots, put on the hard hat, and she's doing extremely, extremely well. And I remember just telling her the other day, look, Sam, we bring a lot of value to the industry. We're not desperate. We are partnered with some of the best brands. We got our certs, which bring value. So we're not out. In other words, we're not begging for business. In fact, when we meet each other, it's a mutual benefit. You help me, I help you, kind of thing. So when you say the belief system, it's like, no, I feel I'm one of the best smaller safety supply companies around. And I told Sam, so we have to reflect that when we're meeting people, because they're going to feel that and they're going to walk away like, yeah, we want to do business with them.
So I think one of the things that I think is important, we talked about the belief system, but I think one of the things that we as believers, we need to be very sensitive about is that we live in the spirit of abundance. Abundance.
Yep.
Look that word up. Abundance is, and math is what 2 + 2 is what? 4, right? But not when you add the multiplication of God to the factor. 2 + 2 can be $1 trillion. So I really believe that our belief system drives everything that we do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when you pick and choose how you're going to engage the world, and the person who's saying, I don't want to be part of the close, is the fact is that they have an imposter syndrome. They don't believe in themselves. The reason why they can't close is because they don't know how to sell themselves.
Yeah.
That's why they're telling you they don't want to be part of the close, because they're afraid of rejection.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this. Every time that somebody has said no to me, it's because I walked in there with a no already. The reality is people reflect back who you are. That's all that we're a mirror to one another. We're a mirror. So if we function with the thought in mind that abundance is key, and everything that is flowing to me is because there's an opportunity for growth and there's an abundance, then you receive contracts. Because that's the space that you're in. But if you walk in it with the spirit of limits,
doubt,
brackets, parentheses, if you walk in it that way, you are creating and you're deflecting a scarcity spirit. And when you come from a scarcity spirit, is basically a fear-based spirit.
Yes, it is.
That is nothing but the lie. It's a lie. Even the word fear is a lie. False evidence of appearing real. Even the word fear is a lie. So when you start to feel that you are in a space where you're starting to feel like, I'm not sure about this process, or you're uncomfortable in the sales process, you are reflecting who you are. So you got to go back to the source. And who's our source?
Jesus.
The Father. So you better get yourself back in your prayer closet.
That's right.
You better get yourself on your knees. You better break out your John 3:16 scripture, wherever you found it, however you found the Lord.
Right here.
Why didn't
Jeremiah
we
over here, John?
Why didn't we
why are
have
streets-
this woman on the show earlier? Because I mean, I'm already.
I'm right here. I'm taking lessons. I'm taking notes.
I'm taking mental notes. I was already on an intergalactic level, but now I'm just like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
we're
close the door
floating
right now.
girl. We are floating in this
I feel
room.
like we need Yolanda in the second episode, but just for sales and business. Just
Yeah.
for sales. I mean, we can even break that apart. Sales and have business.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you have a lot.
Yes.
No, I'm saying
even as a coach, pouring, because that's another thing you two do. You guys are sales. You guys are coaches. You guys are like, and that's a difference, because operating as yourself, as I'm learning, a completely different managing people. Like, I don't got to worry about how that person's feeling and what they're doing, because it's affecting the work that we're all creating, right? And that's kudos to both of you guys. It's a lot. It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, and it doesn't pay as much, because I could go back to sales and make a fortune.
You got that. That's
but
true.
you know what? I love the challenge and I love people. But back to Yolanda, and I got to say something. When you were more part of NAWIC, meaning the president, I go back to 2 years ago.
I think it's when I met you. You were a
year and a
president.
half, maybe two. I mean, it's probably been 2 years now.
Yeah,
And I know
because
I've
she's
been-
going on her second year. Dawn's going on her second year.
And I know that
Right, it's the second annual golf.
No,
She did last year.
she was a VP then. She became president. You're only a president for 1 year.
Oh,
Well,
got it.
anyway,
Oh, got it.
I don't know who the president or who the non-president is, but I just want to say that when you were the only one that Yolanda would call me and she'd say, "Hey, there's the event, hermano, and you're gonna come down. I'll put you on the table next to the people you told me you wanted to meet, and I put you here, and she would be on it. Like, out of everything this woman is doing, to take the time and to be, and then that's when I was like,
She cares for you.
I was like, you know what? No, it was just, that's her.
She's
That's
overflowing.
Her. But
She's
that's
overflowing.
why I'd be like,
That's because she cares.
that's why I'd be like, Kirk, we're writing a check for what? For what? And I was like, you have no idea. But all that work eventually ended us getting one of the whales that I had that I never landed, and that was PCL. And it took forever and a day, but you set that off. And I just got to say that shortly after you left, unfortunately, we're no longer sponsoring them. Maybe we will again, but it was that energy that I attributed that close to, and that is missed. Because when an organization has someone that's in there rooting for you, understands the business, because I do want to empower women, and Lila or Rocio or you call me, I'm gonna show up, and I've shown up for the people that matter to me. There's no question there. But when you go above and beyond, and when you set that gold standard, and when you understand the business the way that you do, and you go out of your way to help someone, regardless of what, just because that's the true you, that was amazing, and that's why we were a part of it. And I just wanted to thank you.
I have to say this. I think that that comes from serving. That's a servant. That's a servant leader. That's what we. Before the book came out, I didn't know that I was a servant leader until I read the book. Right, but
which book is that?
It's called The Servant Leader.
Oh, okay.
There's a book called The Servant Leader. I don't know the name of the gentleman who wrote it, but it's called The Servant Leader. But I think one of the things that I recognized early on is that people will go to bat for you if you take care of them. So if we think about this, the Word of God says that we should take care of one another, right? That as a brother and sister, that we should be watchful, we should be praying, we should be concerned about each other, right? I truly believe that when you are sensitive enough to pay attention to the needs of people around you, and you serve, and you're serving them. And I happened to be that I was at NAWIC that day, but I could have been anywhere, right? I would have still put the same amount of energy to serve in that capacity, because I saw, and I think too, we talk about like brothers and sisters, right? There's people that you meet for the first time and you go like, oh, that's my tribe, right? Mm-hmm. That, like, literally you meet them and you go like, that you don't have to even talk to them for more than 5 minutes, and you're like, I got to spend time with that person. So I think that God has this way of bringing people into your space that He says, okay, I want you to help. That's a person I want you to pour into. That is who you should be helping. And don't get me wrong, doesn't mean that it's going to be forever, but there is a process that God brings those people. So I've always, even when I didn't get to see you, we would always tap in, and I'll be like, tacos, we need to go do tacos, and let's get together for tacos, because God would always remind me, in my prayer time, He puts people in front of me.
That's right.
Right. And so that I feel is important, right? And being sensitive to the Spirit and leaning in and listening, because I think that the more you help people win, guess what happens? You win. You are God's daughter. You're God's son, right? So as you're helping God's people, inadvertently, you are also creating grace and mercy over on your own life. Mm-hmm. So I'm just gonna say this, and I'll be quiet. The word of God, the word favor, is not fair. The favor that God gives all of us and grants us favor over a contract or a relationship or opportunities is His favor. He gets to pick how much favor you're going to get. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. How much favor do you really want? And that means that you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to pray for somebody. That means taking the call at 2 o'clock in the morning because something happened with their kids. And, church is a building, you guys. That's not the end. You go to church, it's a building. It's the people in the church that make the church, right? So I'm not different here. If I'm hanging out with the people from PCL, or if I'm with the people at Granite or Keywood, I'm the same person. If they tell me they're having problems with their kids, I'm going to pray. If they say they're having marital problems, I'm going to pray. Everywhere you go, that's why I know I've been called to the marketplace. The marketplace is the church. It's not segregated. And people will always say, well, Christian, you're in a Christian environment. I'm like, no, I'm going to serve wherever I'm supposed to be serving. If I'm at the coffee shop and I see somebody that's in need, I'm going to support. Does it matter to me what they look like, where I'm at? It doesn't matter. I'm on the plane all the time, traveling from conference to conference. I meet people one time. I better make an impact in that person's life that one time, and I better be showing a light, not Yolanda's light, Jesus Christ light. That they'll tip in and go, I don't know what you said, but when you said it, I knew that I needed to hear that word. That's not me speaking, that's the Father.
That's
Amen.
Yeah.
That's the Father. And so that I think is more important than what we represent, what product we sell. And if I help you succeed, you're going to help somebody else succeed.
Yeah.
It is a domino effect. You're going to take and break bread and support others because somebody poured into you.
Yeah. And I think in the last year, all of us in the triangle here have experienced just that. And it's been the minute we surrendered and said, we're going to become servants, and we all have these magical experience, godlike experience where we have encountered
like
people.
beyond coincidence. You
Way
think about
beyond
somebody or
coincidence.
you feel something and you make
Yeah.
that call and it's like, I was just thinking about you. Are
Yeah.
you okay? It may be a need for prayer or I want to share this with you. And like you said, when we open up our energy and we're aligned with, what the Lord wants us to do that day, I think that's why sometimes people will share with us that they wouldn't share with anybody else because they know that we will turn around and we will pray or we'll be like, you call me, and not a lot of people will do that because they got all this other stuff going. But going back to a big takeaway for me, it's like we don't wake up in scarcity. We wake up, like I said, before we get out the bed, Lord, here we are. Here we go. What's going on today? More of you, less of me. Use me. Send me. And
Every morning.
it's like not just what's natural. We get to do things that feel supernatural, where these coincidences are like, it was God, and you're like, here I am, Lord, send me.
Someone
Beautiful.
asked me
Just love it.
for life hacks. What are your life hacks? How do you do what you do and you still do all this? And what's the first thing you do in the morning? And I go, I take 10 or however long minutes to do, and I pray. It's the first thing I do. And I thank him and I ask him to keep me humble, to give me strength, and to allow me to do the things that I do with no expectation and no ego.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
And the church said, Amen.
But I think everybody in here does that. So I'm amongst my people.
Yes.
Well, Yolanda, I just want to thank you.
We are floating
for
in here, Yolanda. We are like floating in here.
You came
from
here and
this.
you're overpouring
Yeah,
important
like,
to all
start
three
a-
of us.
Put on a show.
Came
dressed up. Yeah, we're going
glammed
out.
up.
Yeah, we're going to the convention with you right now. Let's go. Look, hey, Lila, gas up the Beamer.
That's right. Yep. $8, honey. That's what I heard. It's all right.
No, but it's been a true pleasure having you here, and I think we should definitely have her on a second show.
I think there
Self-
needs to be a part
Yes.
2. There needs to be a part 2 because we need to tap more into
Because
this
we ain't
BD
done.
stuff.
We ain't
We're
done
not
with you,
done.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not done. So we're gonna. I know you're super busy, but you're gonna make time for us.
Is there anything you would like to wrap up for the audience?
Yes, give us your last tips and tricks. Talk to the women out there, and give them something.
To talk to the women out there.
Yeah,
Talk to my brothers and my sisters.
Yes.
both. Then.
Yes.
Yes.
I think the biggest thing is we're all being called to something, and whatever that thing is for you, the thing that what when you wake up in the morning, what is your why? What is it that gets you out of bed every day? That why is it may not even be the thing that you're actually making money at the moment. I got to tell you the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Sometimes people say, well, because I do a lot of other things outside of my current role, right? And so the things that drive me every day is not necessarily my assignment. Sometimes it's the people on the projects that drive me, right? It's the opportunity to serve the people that I get to work with, my clients or a strategic partner. It's an employee. It's a vendor that I may only see maybe once or twice a year, but when we see each other, it's like we saw each other just yesterday, right? So I think that there's a lot to be said about koinonia and fellowship and being with one another and just being together. So I think I think the biggest thing I want people to walk away from this conversation today is that you're called. Will you say yes?
Will you say yes?
And I mean, that's the question of the hour, because in reality, every day we're choosing to say yes, because we wake up and it's a choice. It's an everyday choice. Think about how many people have said no. and they're still stagnant and they're not moving and they haven't grown because they've said no.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes you don't have to verbally say it, it's in the actions. It's your actions.
Yes,
Actions speak louder than words. And what you do daily speaks. And so people don't think people are watching us. They're watching what we do.
Well, you're talking with what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you could be talking and not doing.
It
So
could
really,
be
you ain't
contrary.
saying much.
Yes. Yeah, you're not saying much. And so I just want to say thank you. I don't consider this, I consider it a privilege to be invited to share. I absolutely love and appreciate each one of you guys, not only for just your individual wins and who you are as a person, but just the opportunity to be able to do life with you guys is a gift to me. So I just want to say thank you. It is a privilege to be here. And anytime you need any support from me, if you want me to come back here and do just a series on whatever we want to talk about, I'm more than willing to support you guys. So thank you again for allowing me to serve.
And which Instagram, because I know you have a couple of Instagram pages, but so the audience can know which one to follow and which one I should tag. Which page
I
is
think
your Instagram?
in every platform you can find me as Yolanda CEO Coach.
Okay.
I've had that handler probably for the last 20 years. So it's Yolanda CEO Coach. So wherever platform you like to play in, even my LinkedIn page says Yolanda CEO Coach, right? So if you Google me, CEO Coach, Yolanda CEO Coach, you'll be able to find a connecting point. Send me a message if there's something that you need support with, or if you just have questions, or honestly, you just need advice, or you need a prayer, please reach out.
Nice. I love that.
I love that. It was an honor. We'll see
Yeah,
you again.
the honor was ours. Thank you so much for being here.